greater similarity among you and the people there than you ever realized or could imagine. So we are the children of Africa. That's number one. Number two, being here in the Western world, we have spent most of our time here in the Western world as servants and slaves in this system. So we have the uniqueness of the thousands of years of being Africans, and then we have the uniqueness in the Western world of being that group of people who did not come here voluntarily, but were brought here to serve the building of this part of the development of this part of the so-called New World. Now, even though slavery has been over for a century and a half, almost 150 years, slavery has been illegal. Has been illegal in Kòrsou, has been illegal in America, has been illegal in Jamaica, has been illegal in England, has been illegal in the Western world. It has been illegal. It's still important to understand that you don't erase from the memories and the consciousness of people events that went on for almost 300 years. So prior to the emancipation, slavery was a process that went on for almost 60 generations. That is, for almost 3 centuries, we were not considered people. We were not considered citizens. We were not considered human beings. We were considered to be property and were treated accordingly. Could you put on the first slide? Can you bring this? Yeah, okay, good. I think it's that I am not trying to take us back into the painfulness of this past. I'm not trying to stir up old negative emotions. That's not my objective. I want you to understand that I feel the same right to talk about my hurt as the Jewish people feel to talk about their hurt. Mm-hmm. I want you to know that this was my Holocaust. I don't apologize for what I did not do to me. I don't apologize for reminding myself what my ancestors went through, in the same way that any Jewish community will present you with a Holocaust museum to remind you what they went through. And they don't see that as a celebration of that suffering. It's simply a reminder of who they are, because those conditions help to determine who they are now. Now, those events didn't take place in New York. Those events of the Jewish Holocaust didn't take place in Illinois. Those events of the Holocaust didn't take place in Kòrsou. But even though they didn't take place there, it's a part of those people's unique history. And therefore, they recognize it as a way to understand who they are now and what they're doing now, because they understand the connection. The purpose of this reminder is simply to understand something about the connection, to help us understand what effects we still suffer from in terms of these experiences. The slavery environment was characterized by brutality, by terror, by hurt, by pain. Now, why is that important? On 9/11/2001, America went from a nation of feeling itself relatively secure and comfortable in its defense to beginning to fear the consequences of terror. The brutal bombing of the World Trade Center, I guess the senior part of this building, and the destruction that ensued from that, the nearly 3,000 deaths that took place as a consequence of that, created a new mindset. Terror changes your mind. Terror makes you see the world differently. Even though the event happened happened on one day. And it happened on one day now, almost 4 years ago. America has never been the same. If you have traveled in the U.S., you no longer travel the way you used to travel. Because now America has been a terrorized nation. If you decide to get up on a plane, as someone did in Miami yesterday, you could end up dead. You cannot simply say, I have the rights to protect myself. I have the rights to privacy. If you want to get on a plane, you've got to let them touch you all over. Feel you in places people shouldn't feel you unless they know you very well. They can x-ray your bags and go through your dirty underwear. They do all kinds of things that people accept willingly that they would not have accepted prior to the terror. Terror is a very debilitating influence. What is terror? Terror is simply a sense that you don't have control over forces that may take away your life. Now, the terror that the Africans experienced was a terror that did not exist on one afternoon, on one day. It persisted for almost 300 years. In Kòrsou, in Jamaica, in Bermuda, in New York, in Mississippi, in Georgia, in Florida, wherever we were, that same situation of terror persisted. So my children were terrorized before they were born. Their children were terrorized. And their children's children were terrorized. For generation after generation, so people were born into terror. So when the World Trade Center was attacked in New York, all of the people who run America, the white people there, say, we are in terror for the first time. And they realized for the first time what we have known ever since we've been there. It was not our first day of terror, because the possibility of unexplained death, unexplained destruction, whether it was Klansmen coming to lynch you, whether it was a slave master coming to sell your mate away, whether it was someone else coming to destroy or to hurt you, it had been an experience that we had known for most of our history. It might have differed on different plantations, but the general idea that you had no control over your life went on for generations. So that terror, that brutality, that fear of destruction, that fear of hurt, was something that was a constant part of our environment over multiple generations. Multiple generations. So much so that after a period of